say that we are what? What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? Hey, everybody. um, I don't know what we're doing. I mean, I kind of know what we're doing. What are we doing? We here. How about that? Um, we are present. Um, we've made it to the I don't even know what. Let's do this. Two videos, two recordings in one day. This has never happened. Maybe that's what's going on. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's start off. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. All right. Let's do this. Sorry for all the noise. I had to real quick. I was about to lose myself. All right. I think this is going to be the last recording for a little while, at least until October 16th, because here's what's going on. I'm being nosy looking out the window. Here's what's going on. um, the sound quality is choppy. It's very choppy. Um, so, I'm not gonna complain. That's what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna complain. Let's get into it. So, let's share this screen. Here is where we left off with promise to pick back up right here. Okay, so I want to say in the introduction, um, I may mention about how the um, the industry of psychology is, on average, divided into either Jungian uh, phenomenology or Fordian. So either Carl Jung or Edmund Freud. There's this thing called Jungian authentic movement, aka meditative dance. You honestly can go into dance mode and it register as ample and adequate meditation. When I first learned of the data that supported this as an actual therapeutic avenue, I almost swallowed my tongue for real, because I love to dance. Um, and I can, I can transcend. I can become so transfixed, especially if it's a good groove. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Week 7. So week 7 for 7 days. Week 7 for 7 days. I need you to find a moment or moments to dance. You don't have to go be putting on those shoes that's going to hurt your feet and get all dressed up in uncomfortable clothes that are anti-move based. I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole just a teeny bit. So I just think that it is truly, truly weird for people to get dressed up to go dance. They be in the most uncomfortable outfits ever that restricts movement and everything. They honestly go dancing trying to be cute in the same notion. And not saying that you can't, but if you have on anti-movement clothes, this is going to interfere with the flow of the meditation for what this movement is set to do and set to experience you to. So workout clothes, please. Yoga clothes, please. No clothes. If you really want to have a moment with it. Now I know, if you anything like me with all kinds of curves and curl on, some clothing would be beneficial. Be beneficial because things that get to flapping and doing all the other kind of weird shit. So, but you can still, and you can move in your seat. Like you really can just get everything moving, right? So turn on your music and get it, get it. It increases the blood flow, circulation, energetic movement, all of that good stuff for 7 days. Week 7 for 7 days. While you are, pay close attention to the mental capacity that begins to flow, the emotional capacity that begins to treat you differently. Something treating you differently is not always a bad thing. Okay, so reflect upon the details involving the possibility of you hosting a genuine, authentic movement session. Now, hosting, this is separate from your 7 days of movement. You have to be moving the whole entire 7 days. Let's not get that twisted. But for 7 days, even if you just, for one song, just let it do what it do. And, of course, the longer the better. So I want to say on average about 2 to 3 songs, you should have benchmarked the good stuff. Now, will something wonderful and encouraging pop up each and every time you dance? No. But you will have accumulated the moving reciprocity that's required for some things to begin helping you identify the details or involving your prep plans or your identifying your unique desires, your style, your goals, all of that, right? So if you decide to host, so if you are seriously interested, jot down all the details involving the prep and planning, the identifying of your unique desires, meaning that you are hosting this because one of your favorite people been shut in since quarantine, and it'll just be fun to have them have a moment where they can move and groove like that. That's what I mean when I talk about identifying your unique desires, by which is supporting you being a host of a genuine, authentic movement session. Party favors, color themes, music lists, those are additives. They are honestly beneficiaries of the moment. Of course, if you have it where it's done in a small group setting, you have space big enough for at least 5 to 7, 8, 9, 10 people. Of course, just the energy in itself that'll be present from the collective is going to be beneficial. So more instructions with regards to how you're going to inform your guests. Definitely let them know that they'll be participating in the efforts to spruce and energize your divine creativity. As the host, it needs to be made very clear that they are working in conjunction for your creativity. See, everybody think that when you give gifts, it has to be gifts of physical It has to be of a physical nature. I know not all folks look at gifts just through either monetary means or physical means. Because truly, just to love on somebody can be honestly be a gift. Go to your lover while you're frustrated, even when you're frustrated with them. Let's not get that shit twisted, and release and suspend all your uh, anger through having a moment with your lover, honey. Talk about divine creativity. Anywho, and then you will get a graduation certificate after your 7 weeks are completed. Now, here's the tricky part, because you do not have to submit anything that you create as a result of being on this journey. You wonder, how in the world would you get a certificate that would signify you've gone through your first 7 weeks? A conversation with me. That's how you will get it if you don't submit. Now, if you submit and contribute to the story gallery or submit a storygram, which, let me slow down real quick and say, a storygram honestly could be a love letter, it could be an essay, it can be an op-ed, it can be a short story, it can be an article, it can just be um, a copy of a journal entry that is being submitted to be part of the bigger narrative, is what I'm calling it right now, until it turns into what it's supposed to turn into. Just one submission through these 7 weeks guarantees you a certificate, or if you don't submit anything, a exit conversation, because it won't be merely an interview, it'll be a conversation. The completion of a exit conversation from the first 7 weeks, you will get a Astro Artisan 101 certificate of graduation. Things are done in 7, especially in the magical, mystical worlds. Cycles of 7 are paramount in the evolution of growth and wisdom. And I really think after you engage in 7 consecutive days of movement, any kind of movement, however you want to do it, I think that that is going to be prep for graduation all in itself. So we get into the space that is so intriguing and so taboo to many. And we go in our quiet corners and dip into it a little bit, but we don't publicly say that we are into astrology, that we track the movements of our planetary alignments according to our zodiacs, or any of that. We hardly ever, and I say we, talking about the original Kundalini people, because we are still part of the cultural denomination that gives a fuck about what people say about us. Remember, we were the star commodity for an entire society for generations. So the residue of the emotionality that comes along with being part of the stock market, being part of the display window, always being sized up as a human resource. It takes a while to get into the mode that says, I'm going to show up in my raggedy ass jeans. No, I don't have to be the best dressed one in there. No, I don't care what kind of vehicle I'm riding in as long as I'm riding. Nah, it really doesn't matter if my mate is well dressed or not. We're showing up with the intellect. And so, like, as long as there is uh, the basic necessities, we're good, because we are no longer going to be strutting around here like America's product, where we always have to be ready to be bought and sold. I digress. I'm always digressing. All right. Let me, yeah. All right. Okay. I am not a professional astrologer. I dig into astrology to understand myself better. Because I am a conversationalist, it finds its way into my conversations. Because I am on this road to self-discovery, it finds its way into my lectures, into my consultations. It's there. It's part of me. This is my sun. So if I am to go along with the life's affirmation that says that I incarnate inside of one of these windows of the zodiac so that I may experience the hue of Saturn inside of my beingness while in the third dimension, then it would tell me that I've already been here 10 times. I've already incarnated 10 times. So the soul's journey, as I am understanding it, is when the soul enters into the space of one, coming in as cardinal Mars in Aries. This could be the first of the first, or it could be the first of the 101st. I don't think anyone can truly benchmark how many times its soul has incarnated into one of these hues, major hues, as where the sun is situated. Now, because I am learning to take the view of my sun, my moon, and my ascendant signs, then that would mean that I have to take into account that I am chiefly of Saturn Capricorn influence, but because my moon sign and my ascending sign is Virgo, then I have to pay close attention to Mercury at any given time in my life because messages come to me for me to relay them. I am, by cosmic trait, mercurial. I am in the business of magical messages. If I am going to stake my claim into what I consider is my purpose, my ultimate mystical fool's journey, then that means that in this lifetime, this is my jam. These are my lanes. It's my jam. So to find out more about me, I have to tap into the Capricorn characteristics and the Virgo characteristics, the Saturn characteristics and the Mercurial characteristics, the Saturnine characteristics and the Mercurial characteristics. And then somehow, some way, that begins to make up the basis, the fundamentals of who I am. But those are just the core ingredients of who I am. My birth chart actually has several other components that has a little bit to do with, as I've mentioned in the other readings, my moon is in the first house, and then I also have Pluto in my first house. I have my Mars is in Aries, as well as my Chiron is in Aries. Now, Chiron is not part of the traditional astrological wheel, because if I'm not mistaken, it's not even considered a planet per se. I'm still learning more about Chiron. I do know it's androgynous, meaning it does not take up a feminine or masculine quality. Both resides. It dwells. It's neither one or the other. It's both. It's a combination of both. Okay, so we went over this in the last installment. So let's move to our activation profile. The intro to the second power lighthouse is what I like to say is the charm, if you will, of the journey, the ultimate journey. A journey that you can travel several times, all depending on what you're being faced up against or faced with, as well as what call you are adhering to. Remember, calls can come across your path in the blink of an eye. They can come together or separate. You can deal with one calling at a time or simultaneously, or multiple callings at a time simultaneously. You can be co-joined by someone else who has miraculously, I will say, taken up the same cause, and you travel together at some point. You may travel the entire journey together or bits and pieces of it. So with that in mind, there's this thing that I like to call the indigo awakening. And even when I first, let me see, is the date for the original draft on here. It's been, so this does not look the way it started out. This activation profile was a work in progress, I'm going to say for the last 24 months or so. I've recently revised it. The 2020 at first was all just about the clarity of vision. It had nothing to do with the year 2020. But now it's finding its link in having some type of historical value, because we will be digging into this that I like to say is the awakening of one's first eye, which has a lot to do with my my YouTube name. So, Skyla Indigo Inc. The Skyla really is it's a derivative of my first name, my birth name, which is Thea, which is the goddess of light and the goddess of light and foresight. She was a sky goddess. So that's where Skyla comes from. Indigo, as I often say, is of the first eye, because it is the color of the first, what most people call the third eye, but the first eye chakra is coded through the indigo coloring and ink, because I like to write. So, I also think that even with me shortening it and calling myself Coach Sky, has a lot to do with the fact that I am an Imagineer pioneer. I am an advocate, an ambassador of Imagineering. You're going to have to be able to imagine forever. Imagination isn't just kids' play. Disney pays its Imagineers a lot for their ability to tap into their imagination with no inhibitions. So it really is a thing. Okay, into the wild unknown we go, and as we do that, we are going to be learning how to write a love letter. And it doesn't even have to be a physical love letter, but a love letter all the same. It can be in song, it can be in dance, it can be in film, motion picture, performance, poetry. It can be in whatever vehicle you want it to be, but it'll be a love letter all the same. Activation of Sankofa's story is a specialty where one will speak about anything that it has discovered that is Sankofa specific. Sankofa is I keep wanting to say it's Igbo, but I also think it's of the ancient Congo. Oh my goodness. Tell me, is it a Nigerian as well? Trying to tap into the origins of this word, but it in any In any case, it means to go back and get it. That's what Sankofa means. So, through meditation, through imagination, you honestly can tap into that which was left behind. I use it a lot for my inner childhood rescue missions. I check in often now to see if my inner child is cranky about anything, and I give it safe space to vent or rant or do whatever it wants to do, and I do what I can to accommodate it. I think my DNA structuring, my circuitry, for so long was always out of bounds, out of whack, because I always wanted to try to dismiss anything that has happened to me in my childhood, um, however it went. I didn't want to take the time to examine it and explore it and give it the attention that it deserves. What I found most gracious in this road of accomplishing this, especially since most of it has been a solo act for me, is my art, my music, my crafts, my vocation, my poetic performances. Um, and what's most amazing is that maybe just like 3 years ago, I didn't even look at myself as being a poet until one day I'm sitting in front of a reading and it tells me you have poetic capacity that you aren't tapping into. Allow yourself the chance to be the poet. And I even giggled at it. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Who? But then one day I am minding my own business and I get an invitation from a meetup group that was meeting um, in historic Anacostia, DC, for novice poets. And before I could even think about it, I went on ahead and I RSVP'd. And of course, I went through, some mental anxiety leading up to the day. But I actually went, and I sat in. And the energy in that room, honey, I wrote my first poem and read it out loud and received some really good critique from poets who were seasoned and who was there just to chaperone the energy so that everyone could be in safe space. When I say it moved me from that point on, honey, yeah, I got a journal only for poetry. Been popping them out. They might not be all that good right now, but I'm still gaining the confidence to pop them out. And whenever it feels like it wants to have its way with me, I give it its chance to. I will pull the pencil and the notepad out in a minute. Um, what's even more intriguing for me, from my point of view about me, twice in the last 90 days, I have been provoked to write poetry with regards to being in love. And because this is such a mystical love affair that I am in, it starts out inside of non-physical spaces. That's how I know it's something. Whatever it is transposed into, I'm going to be grateful that it unfolded like this just so I can say that I took witness to it. My self-discovery also lets me know that I cannot become obsessive with this thing called longevity. And when we're talking about romances and love affairs and lovers, I think that we get uh, twined up into believing that there's only one truth, or that you're only going to experience the true, authentic stuff once or twice a lifetime. I beg to differ. just by sheer means of me knowing this cardinal Aries is a blessing to me, whether we move on into um, a routine physical space or not. Just the sharing of sentiment and the sharing of truth and just the sharing of honesty um, has taught me something that my other love affairs that did have a physical component to it didn't touch, did not come close. And I'm a very, oh gosh, I was about to say I'm a very weird creature, but I'm whimsical too. I'm whimsical. I am whimsical as fuck. So needless to say, many love affairs that was in conjunction with folks that were of a mundane imagination, most often it was just me engaging in sex. It was not me engaging in magical, out of this world type of, yeah. So the MM and PJs, the Mahogany, Majestic Muses, and Poetic Justice. Now, the MMM has stood for, I rearranged this. It's always been Mahogany, Majestic Muses, but sometimes it's the Majestic Mahogany Muses. So it does what it wants to do, all depending on which document it finds itself in. So this is what it is now. You may come across as we continue with the understudy, especially if you decide to travel on beyond the 7 weeks. You'll see that there will be certain documents where it's Mystic Mahogany or it's Mahogany Mystic. But the MMM and PJs is what that stands for. Let's see. Grapevine Griots. There is a chronicle Grapevine Griot's Chronicles. So there's a chronicling writer's residency that is underway. It will begin to be distributed outside of the Clubhouse realm rather shortly. I am suspecting that it will begin circulating right around the holidays so that folks can get prepared for 2021. If you consider yourself a Grapevine Griot. Mystic Fools. I am a mystic fool. I'm probably going to always be a mystic fool. Why? Because I always want to maintain my regeneration of spontaneity. Being an earth sign, especially being a Capricorn, you honestly can get stuck. You can become uncomfortably stuck too in stagnation where you are so pleased in your groundedness. My Mars Aries energy is what keeps me respecting the beginner's mind. And that's why I say tapping into tarot as a love language gives one the benefit not only of dexterity of vocabulary, but it also allows you a different view as to self. The fool in tarot is not the fool in urban speech or even the fool in um, antiquated speech. I think the fool in tarot is like the fool inside of mythology, where it really just means the beginner's mind. It means that which has yet to be uh, known as fact, the exploration of a thing. So we will be journeying, officially, we'll be journeying as a collective, on and off, from we started Saturday, September the 5th. and it will be extended all the way until Saturday, June 12th, 2021. The understudy, if everything goes well, will be officially coming to close the last day in February, February 28th, 2021. Okay, so here is the ticket. If you feel like you are going to officially enlist in the understudy, this profile has to be submitted to me to gain official acknowledgement of being able to contribute to the story gallery or storygrams, as well as any type of production perks, the um, the landing and ownership of a formal character inside the script. There's another thing. Oh, as well as having your own feature, your feature time inside of the docuseries. Now, when I began speaking to others about what was going on with me, because it's so multi-dynamic, I couldn't really stuff it into. Hold on, hold on. Do I need to mute it? Is that too loud? I'm sorry. I have no way of knowing. Okay, let's let that pass through. I didn't want to stuff it into the limitations of it either being a film or it being a book or it being a docuseries or it being a song or a poem. Like I'm not sure what's going to transmute from this. But what I do know, great stories, great motion pictures, great plots, great story sincerity comes from original data. It comes from firsthand authentic data. So I figured I'd start there. I'm also finding out that these journeys, just on a one-to-one from human to human source, whatever your sacred source is, that one-on-one connectivity between human and its source, receives official or unofficial recordings into this thing called the Akashic Records. There is a story that is called The Invisible Library, which depicts the best rendition I've ever come across that allows the imagination to understand what an invisible library could possibly be. When I say it is such a captivating story, I don't think I will ever again view what an Akashic record-keeping sanctuary could function like, could operate like. The billions of records that can be cataloged, submitted, retrieved at any given time from something that's considered the library of all human existence, past, present, and future. Honey, I can't, yeah, I'm going to hurt myself. I don't feel like it. So, the Akashic recordings, the Invisible Library, the intro to the Second Power Imagineering. That's with this, these, can't even talk. This is what the activation is all about. It's so that you, me, we will be able to contribute to such a phenomenology. These are core components which are very important to me with regards to collecting data and being able to provide proper citation whenever, if ever, you decide to submit work to patch into our greater narratives or our greater creative works. Okay, so here are our affiliations, Clubhouse specific. So these are not terms used outside of our story house. This is all for in-house data collection, story organization, identifiers, mainly because let's just take this one for a minute. So from my beauty and barber career, there are many that I say are natural storytellers. Few of my barbers have already signed on to be main characters in the script that's coming out. So when they deal with their journey of understudy, their journal entries will be as raw as they come out, but they will be presented within the voice of a main character. Having my barbers right under this type of protection allows them to be raw and transparent with some of the things that they are or have been dealing with. When you sign on to a character, that's the autonomy, the penmanship autonomy I was talking about in the session just before this one. So you will check all that applies. This isn't something that you have to be initiated into. If you consider yourself an affinity traveling tutor or a coach inside of a co-op chaperone means that you are either chaperoning the energy as someone is in safe space to hash out something that compels them, conflicts them, confuses them. You're not necessarily there to deliver feedback. You are there as a sounding board to hold safe space so that the clearing may ensue. Those are what co-op chaperones are all about. Of course, the coaching is whatever it is that you may have insight about with regards to life, work, study style, passion, purpose, and project. CMHU is the Coach Mad Hatter's University. So within the university scope, affinity traveling tutors, you are the affinity inside of Storyhouse. So the affinity clicks in with regards to you being an advocate of one's authentic story, including your own. This may be a good moment for me to say, inside the greater narrative, where a lot of the prime plots will take place, is a academy for magical beings. And the more and more we travel this, the more and more I will be rendering backdrops so that you can begin canvassing your imagination for better understanding. Most that attend the academy have the ability to shapeshift, meaning they can be a human being in front of you and leave the house and shapeshift and fly off as an owl, or walk into the dark as a Black Panther, or hop from the trees as a whatever hops from trees. Pounce you like a lion, those types of things. So the magic in their being is that they can shift into whatever their animal spirit totem is. Some identify with multi animal spirits, so that makes them a multi-personality being. Because we live in a society of mass manipulation, many would have you believe that a human being that walks around with multiple personalities is a bad thing. That's only because they can't be easily manipulated, because you literally have to lasso in multiples. So we just gonna label them as jokers. We're gonna label them as crackpots. We're gonna label them as crazy, and we really gonna lay on the blame and the shame because they don't really fit in the world. And so we really gonna make them feel like a piece of shit. And then we're gonna have big pharma. They're gonna concoct some cocktail. We're gonna keep them dazed out and completely delusional from their magical conduency. It's not even a word. However it goes, you know how it go down. Come on. I'm pretty sure if you don't have someone within your family that's on some kind of antidepressant, some type of anti-anxiety agent, then you won't have to travel far. And most often, they have side effects and trumping ailments due to them taking this bullshit than from the so-called ailment itself. I digress. I digress. So if you identify with any of it, if you consider yourself a coaching concord conductor, meaning that you have something that you could offer the story house with regards to how you have received coaching, how you have coached, check it off, because there may be space for you as a facilitator or as a host. Remember, the Young UN movement hosting opportunities, that's nothing that you have to sign up for. Just get it started. You would check, if you're interested and you know that you're going to be hosting them, you would check this. You would be considered a Story House VIP. This is something you're interested in. If you are an advocate of pro-personalship, which is anything that's pro-personal. It's not public, it's not professional, it's personal. R&Rs, retreats, getaways, staycations, massages, any kind of therapeutic for self is pro-personal. So being a researcher and a developer of that which is pro-personal, because most often, if you're going to be in conjunction with our story house, we dive deep. So having those therapeutic alternatives handy and knowing that there are people that are researching and developing the latest and the greatest, and we actually can tap into them and we can get some vibrant feedback. If you know you're one of those peoples that love researching spas and love researching retreats and things like that, you're VIP to the story house. Your knowledge is golden. And the pro-personal scholar is the AKA the mystic fool or the Shiro hero that is journeying to find out more about themselves. So the key is to keep educating yourself. That's the golden key, as a matter of fact. Okay, so here we are. So the Meta Gifts Canvas, Pro-Personal Pathfinder. And I put in parentheses because I have yet to have passed this on to somebody who didn't immediately come back to say, I ain't understand what most of none of this was talking about. No worries, some blanks will be filled in during your successive reading sessions. Inside of the understudy, especially if you go the entire 40 weeks, unless you straight out say, I don't want a reading, more than likely the character, if you do come into assigning yourself with a character to bring a character to life, your character will have some readings. Inside of the academy, especially in and about magical beings, They speak in tarot. They use it as a treasure trove. They speak in tarot for coding and decoding messages as well. Because for someone to call you and say, man, I'm having a 5 of Cups day. To the regular person would know what the world that was. But to someone who speaks tarot, know exactly how they're feeling in that moment. Or someone calls and say, oh my gosh, I got the feeling about him or her, and it is so Ace of Cups. Or, yeah, they getting the fuck on my nerve. They literally got me going through the Ten of Wands right now. The Ten of Swords right now. Or, you know what? That is so, I mean, like, without a shadow of a doubt, I am sensing. I'm sensing it. Why do I feel a 7 of Swords somewhere around here? Is somebody going to tell me what's going on? Why do I feel this? What's going on? So, it let me return my screen. It's for you to know that some blanks will be filled in during your successive reading sessions. Your Enneagram ID, that will come apparent a little later on. Okay, so the epoch, I'm sorry, let me slow down. The writing epoch of why we are doing any of it. Remember, okay, self-discovery, yes. But if you needed it to be put into some type of real, true catchphrase, it's so that we can contribute to the 21st century rekindling of pro-personal renaissance and romanticism. Because of this syndrome, we have a gaping hole in how we love one another. We even have a shady ass foundation of how we engage romance. We have had our Kundalini essence so mangled as a result of the residue, the energetic residue of this syndrome. Yeah, it leaves me speechless. I almost wanted to end it just there. I just wanted to end this series, this segment, and just try again another time. I want to just try again another time. I look forward to an adequate, healthy, life-changing romance. And it even scares me to even say that because I have no idea what I'm asking for. I don't know. Prime always tells me, well, he doesn't always tell me. I just happen to listen to a message he leaves me. I listen to it over and over and over again because it's potent. You hear me? And he says, be careful what you conjure. Be careful what you conjure. And he didn't say it like in no precautionary measure, like, heed my advice type shit. It was a very loving, very caring message. And we've never talked about if he was saying that to himself or if he was actually saying it to me or if he was saying it to him about me or to me about him. Like, none of that was clear. I just took it as universal truth because it is. You must be careful what you conjure, good, bad, or indifferent, win, lose, or draw. You have to be careful what you're conjuring. And that can go for stepping into the wild unknown. You just don't know. You don't know. You just don't know. But here's my take on that. Here's my rebuttal to that before anyone gets a little too scared with this journey is that you don't know what's going to meet and greet you when you leave out to handle your boring ass day-to-day life either. especially if you're a muggle. If you a non-magical creature, man, you can go outside and yeah, I don't feel like giving the treacherous depictions of examples of what could happen when you go out into the world, but it could happen. So there's risk everywhere if you are human of third dimension. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So the Golden Compass Prime canvas colors are simply your two favorite colors. We're going to begin materializing this thing I like to call a grand canvas, with starting with your two primary colors, your two favorite colors, as well as your life path number, which could be in one session simply calculated through your birthday. This is my birthday. So by reducing one's month, day, and year into a single digit is how you find your life path number. And so this is the more simplified version. There is another formula, but this is, like I said, this is the most simplified as far as I'm concerned. So I added them all up, came to 25, you add 2 and the 5, my path number is 7. Life path number 7 is the seeker. And if any who knows me personally come across this or happen to be intrigued by the offerings of the journey journaling, you will know that I sift through quite a bit, always have, especially for as long as, if you've known me 10 years or less, that's all I've been doing is seeking, nonstop, obsessively seeking answers to the hidden mysteries of existence. So your primo AMCVP expression, and that's if it's applicable meaning you are already into any of these, right? So if you are, you will list it here. So sacred synchronicity, that's only identifying your most favorite time frame of the day. I am a morning person. I have, through just paying attention to when I feel my best, my most favorite time frame of the day is between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. If I'm having a really good day, all of my chores are done by 9:30, 10 a.m., including laundry, and the day's meals have already gotten started underway as well. Yeah. Your animal spirit avatars mainly will come by whatever animals you naturally identify with, or you have taken the liberty to tap into some of the assessments that are available online to identify. My two core ones is the snowy owl and the honeybee. I have also taken a likeness with the great mother dragon and the alpha black panther, more so for human purposes and spiritual protection than of anything else. This here is for Harry Potter fans only, for the most part. If you are a Harry Potter fan, then you understand your magical snapshot through assessments of understanding what Hogwarts house you belong to. I am a Hufflepuff, as well as my Patronus, and I'm not going to divulge that just yet because that there has some magicalness to it. So there's a site. It's not coming to me right now offhand. I think it is thewizardingworld.com, where you can go and take the assessment and it'll tell you what Hogwarts house you belong to, as well as identify your Patronus. And a Patronus is a symbol of It's your greatest strength that is now being depicted inside of a symbol. Most often, it is related to the characteristics of an animal, the spirit of an animal. Inside of the Harry Potter verse, knowing one's Patronus really does give a adequate, a precise indication of their strength. Harry's is the stag, the male stag, which has all kinds of alpha traits and protective capabilities. Your numinous color spectrum, here's the link to determine what that is. The way that it's looking, the link is live even inside of the PDF. So you tap into that. It feels like I want to say more about this kind of stuff. Okay, so your MBTI Express. And the reason why I said MBTI Express in parentheses is because it's going to be a personality inventory, but it's not the MBTI signature assessment that you have to be in front of a certified MBTI facilitator. You have to be certified, and you have to pay for it. It's a paid inventory to get an actual Myers-Briggs type indicator assessment, which, by the way, sometime in the spring of 2021, I'm still trying to make the arrangements for this, but if everything goes back to even semi-normal, I'm thinking about hosting Myers-Briggs. They have a local certification board for the DMV, where if you get a group of people together, they will come out and they will facilitate the certification. So if you are or have been interested in becoming MBTI certified, stay tuned, because I'm hoping to be able to host that opportunity within the next year. So with that, there's a 4-letter code that gives you, if nothing else, a fundamental clue into your personality and your emotionality. So that's where that code will go. The date of the assessment is very keen, just for journaling purposes. So that will go there. Oh, wait. Okay. I was about to say, hold up. Okay, so your favorite color, primary color aura, or the secondary color aura, is not your favorite colors by choice. That's what goes here. These 2 colors come as a means of here. It will tell you, once you take the assessment, it'll tell you what your primary and your secondary aura colors are. So those go there. You can also get a aura color interpretation key, which is a color palette, and it's all according to your mood. I didn't leave anywhere for you to jot down the components of which you will discover as a result of this, mainly because this is just for self-discovery purposes only. It's good FYI. We're going to come back to this. This, I know, will be left blank until you are at least halfway through the 40 weeks, if you make it there. And then, so that probably will remain blank until we get to that. All right, so here's the most intriguing yet most complicating portion of the act of your activation. And also, let me just say this really quickly. This entire piece, which is 5 pages, will not be completed in one session, but I think I may have covered that and made it clear when I read that out and I brought that to your attention. So, here we are. So, you will need your natal chart, and I call it the numinous natal because, remember, numinous is the great unknown. You will have your regular natal chart, but for the most part, if you are anything how I was this time last year, I had no idea what anything was that I was looking at on my natal chart. Had not a clue. But through me staying diligent and devoted to at least tapping into it whenever my mind said go sit with it, I learned. With each session, I learned. I picked up things. I picked up vocabulary. I started understanding things. Things started connecting. Dots started highlighting, and I was connecting even more. I came across a notion to tap into the positionings of my birth chart. So my ascending sign goes here, which is Virgo. My moon sign goes here, which is Virgo. My sun sign goes here, which is Capricorn. My Mercury sign goes here, which is Sagittarius. Now, all that which is in blue is the most important for determining certain information on any given day with regards to how you are maneuvering in the world. Your ascending sign is the Queen. That means that whatever is going on with this sign at any given day, it can maneuver like the Queen on a chessboard. It can go wherever you need it to go to do whatever it is you need it to do. So because my ascending is in Virgo, Virgo season was an incredibly magical season for me. Always is. For one, I've always loved the fall, and I really didn't understand why or how, but I really do. And it used to baffle my mom because my mom was a type that would read into my son, the characteristics of my sun sign. So it's like, how is it that you're a Capricorn and you don't particularly like the winter? I can get down with the winter. I will say that I like the winter more than I like the summer. But if I had my way, it would always be the fall. It's always autumn. I am a pro-autumn type of girl. And so all of that to say that when I am my most stumped, I go and check into what's going on with Virgo, more so than I check into what's going on with Capricorn. When it's dealing with my practices or my overall routines or my traditions or my axiology, then I'll tap into the Capricorn energy. My Mercury, and that's my one of my rooks, one of my more prized positionings. With my Mercury being in Sagittarius, Jupiter runs how I communicate. It's lofty. Jupiter is expansive. I think that's why I'm a lover of words the way that I am. Because of my Mercury, the way that I communicate. You can't have a Mercury in Sagittarius and not be endowed with lofty vocabulary. It just, unless something in other parts of your dynamics is mangled or faulty in some kind of way. No shade, it happens, but you might have some faulty energetic wiring somewhere if you are a Mercury Sagittarius and a Mercury in Sagittarius and Jupiter doesn't expand your vocabulary on some level, whether it's written, vocal, whatever other means it comes in. My Venus is in Aquarius, and it something when I found about this one. When I began populating this blank, I honestly had to take a moment. I had to sit back up off of it because remember, Aquarius is the revolutionary, is the, and I'm like, and Venus is the love star. It's how we romantically engage the world. And I'm like, that's the reason why you honestly, either you love me or you hate me when it comes to romance. Either you speak my language or you don't, because I don't cuddle and I don't coddle and I hardly ever gotta be up under. I, how can I say this? I'm still a warrior. I have warrior like tendencies, but they need love too, right? So my romance is hardly ever is with the more timid kind of guy. I've even had some guys that were just really chill, low key dudes, and they honestly told me I was scary and intimidating. Not sexually, I don't be trying to dominate. I am actually rather submissive. TMI, okay. But me as a regular with clothes on, I'm an intimidating creature, I am told. Anywho, I think that has a lot to do with my night one positioning, which is my Venus is in Aquarius. So yeah, so we'll go down the line. These are all the components of one's birth chart. Just like I said before, my black moon Lilith is in Libra. So it serves as an acolyte for me. It serves as it serves as the energy that accommodates me. Um, this particular station, cosmically, is what taps me into my original Kundalini designation. The fact that my black moon Lilith is in Libra, as well as where my Venus is placed, because Lilith didn't take no prisoners. She didn't fuck around. So all depending on, and so with mine being in Libra, I am always in balance with um, staying neutral. I don't take sides. Hardly ever do I take sides. Now, do I have opinions and feelings about things? Yes, I do. But when I have to weigh in, I honestly know how to pull from the light and the dark. I honestly know how to sit without saying anything and just hold space for either or. I don't deal well with people who say, "Oh, well, you taking a side." Be like, honey, listen, yeah, mine is panoramic. It's yeah, this what mine do. So it really do make matter where the moon is hitting me. Okay, so this here is an image that I received when I was undergoing a certification in social and emotional intelligence. And so this just gives a little color palette to what some of the emotions could be when they are in your vortex or within your aura, that it has the ability to pick up certain infrared or whatever the view is that comes color coordinated. That if you are in the midst of any of these emotions, 9 times out of 10, it'll register within this color scheme. Um, so yeah, the power of color really does have a lot to do with how we get down in this reality that is often overlooked, if I may say. Here is just FYI, it's the at a glance of how things are astrologically planetarily associated with the zodiacs and the time of the Gregorian calendar, as well as the element and the associated color with said elemental, I should say. I think that's pretty much it. This is the summary of this layout up here that I like to now call the Pro Personal Planetary Weekly Reader. So that's just insight into that. There is a small assignment here of observation over the next 90 days, which could simply be populated inside the journal you already have for the understudy. Here are the days of the week that I may mention in several other recordings with regards to how I pull my energies. I will again make the correction of the last installment when I may mention that Monday was for Aries. I also think that has a lot to do with the fact that Mars is now in Aries and all of the stuff that will be going on with my my Aries influence. So, needless to say, Tuesdays are one of my better days. But I will say this, I hardly ever wear red. I hardly ever wear red. I will, if I'm feeling frisky, I will put on a pair of red shoes. But I have no red items. ah. Yeah, to tape that whole shit together. Yeah, so it's about the only red thing that I honestly have. I don't have any other. Oh, darn and forgive me. It's about time for me to get ready to. And look, the sun is still up, but it's 6 o'clock. By 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm laying it down unless something is out of the ordinary that has me up. And I can feel it. I literally feel the decrease of my energy. I operate between sunrise and sunset. So, yeah, that's that. Here is the true initiation. Be patient with yourself. If you rush through this, trying to be a know-it-all, trying to lasso control, you're going to miss something and it's going to do you a disservice down the road. Patience is paramount. Silence is golden. Minimize your distractions when you get with this. Again, it's going to ask you for your 2 favorite colors. This is just for the sake and power of repetition, so that you can have it inside of a space where you wrote it out in contemplation. And it, in parentheses, gives the reminder of why it's important in the first place. I'm not going to go over the questions, or should I? No, I'm going to let you spend time with self and contemplate them. If there is a moment where you can't really process the question, it confuses you, it's not clear, texting me is welcomed. You will get a response, and you probably will get a more quicker response if in where are my words? Texting will gain you a quicker response, especially if it's a quick something I can answer with regards to you maneuvering through this piece. Also, you can post your, if it's not a super personal question, you can post your questions inside of the discussion thread that is on the YouTube channel, Skylar Indigo Inc. We will be addressing questions there, mainly because I would like for the addressing of certain questions to serve in a collective nature so that it can begin to be the resource, the go-to for certain things that begin to unfold in real time as we engage this thing. So yeah, these are the questions. This is what I really want to hone in before we bring it to a close. That this journey acts just like this. If I had to give you an image to maybe calm your nerves and allow endorsement to why you would want to travel this journey, especially with me as your tour guide, is because this is what we into. This is where we are right now. This is where we'll be when we're done. And it is of a successive nature. You will tap into this, that will lead you to tap into this, that will lead you to tap into this, that will ultimately grant you this. So, the SIP is sacred intellectual property. The SDA is the sky or star or the sacred or Sankofa dome academics. The ink is the ink. Um, so I sacred intellectual properties. Self is I sacred energy life force or I sacred Sankofa. This is me as I will begin to proudly present the intro to the second power artisans I wonder study. That's what I'm hoping it will transmute into. So we're going to begin pulling out that which surfaces inside of the Academy of the Divine Trifectas. Your art, your story, your acoustic alchemy. In care of the intro to the second house, the intro to the second power lighthouse. These are all of the things that I have launched, look forward to launching. And as before, we are in honorarium of the Story Study Season 1, which is now. Story Study Season 2, which will be sometime in 2021. Here's to ours, yours, Astro Rubik Trifecta, your moon, your sun, and your ascending signs. The formula, I believe, for personal development is social and emotional intelligence with regards to me and we to the second power. This is what I am suspecting. All of our 40 weeks, what will be compiled, what will eventually will be somewhere in these mediums. So it'll turn out to be an I Story Study Wonder book, an album, which on my bucket list, I said it before, I'm going to I'm going to produce me an album. And it's going to be an album like Richard Pryor used to do. Yeah, like Mom's Mabley used to do. Like Gil Scott-Heron used to do. Yeah, we're going to get that. And so I'm thinking that between these two, my ventures in trying to create these two, some type of awesome documentary will be afoot. Hence the docu-series. This is me. This is me. This is me. Mozella Marie is my future self. It's the combination between my grandma's first name and my middle name. So that's the lookout. That's the future self. As I've mentioned before, this is what I look like in image. If I had to pick 4 images that would tell you about who I am the queen with the quill. I am also the replica or the representation of the ancient turtle. Remember who wins the race. Remember who wins the race between the tortoise and the hare. Remember who wins the race. Afro Fairy, and yeah, because my life is such a comedy, it's such tragic magic, it's such this smile and frown all in the same moment type of deal. So here's my Astro Rubicon, my Virgo moon, my Capricorn sun, and my Virgo ascending. I always need to put to the second power somewhere because there's always something wacky going on. Here's how to contact me. Here's the blog. And I think that is about it. So yes, I am considered a senior in this realm, especially with regards to emotional intelligence and being a correspondent of it, um, tapping into coaching and facilitation around these areas. That's still more of a novice venture, but we are trucking right along. And so there you have it, folks. That is our walkthrough through the activation profile. As I said before, you are welcome to get in touch with me with your questions. Um, Even if you have not said yes to the, um, you haven't said yes to the journey itself, that you do at least, at least have curiosity around it. Get in touch with me. We can talk. We can talk. We can talk. We shall talk. We can talk. So yeah, so that's what I have. I'm gonna close out with this. So in the beginning of 2017, I took up the task of being the chair for the Greater DC Society of Emotional Intelligence, right? And so I was hand making these little guys for when I would facilitate meetings, right? I'm not sure if you can really truly see what it says, but the longest journey you'll make, let's say within, wow, that you'll make while in this life. Let me read it. It's crazy. The longest journey you'll make while on this earth is the one from your head to your heart. And it's by Dr. Lisa Rankin. And the arts and music craft vocation poetic performance, it has been updated to add to reflect the treasure trove, the tarot treasure troves. But I just wanted to close with this because I just wanted to show you how sometimes my head, heart, hand coordination be quite obsessive. I went through a moment in time where I was literally writing these out. Like just, yeah, just real obsessive with it. The shit was crazy. Real crazy with it. And this is what I would do. And so I'm no longer cheering, but I came across this. My the the logo for the organization is still there with all my contact information and everything. But it was a time when I was tapping into this energy that I had never encountered before. And it was like, yeah, we're gonna show you something. This literally producing these literally calmed my anxiety. And I was still knee deep in it, so I didn't have any commentary for it yet. I hadn't gone through it. I was still engaging in it. Honey. Yeah, very incredible thing. So that's my spiel for this installment. I hope that it serves you well. Get in touch with me. I look forward to it. So yeah, until next time, I wish you well.